Gary Lyon, and a big welcome to Access All Areas for 2014. With me to chat about all the footy issues bubbling along at the moment is Damien Barrett. Welcome, Damo.
Thank you, guys. An intriguing weekend one of AFL 2014, wasn't it? Results not going certain clubs' ways. And guys, importantly for Port Adelaide, they've unearthed another gun.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic last night watching Port Adelaide after a slow start get back into the game. And it was on the back of this man, Jared Polec, highly rated recruit at the Brisbane Lions, taken at pick number 5 way back in the day. Only managed 16 games at the Brisbane Lions, Damo. I know he was sought after by both Adelaide clubs, but he turned this around in a manner that I'm not sure even the Brisbane Lions would have thought he was capable of doing, inside and outside. And what about this finish?
Look, you've just got to ask yourself, your Brisbane Lions, how this can happen, and that's one thing here. But what does he do to this midfield mix? I mean, they had a great year last year, Port. He could keep them there, and if not elevate, just elevate them as well.
Well, on the back of he and Ollie Wines, they were unbelievably good, and Ebert and Boak, who have held that together for such a long time, weren't all that great. So, really encouraging signs for them. Not so good for Carlton, lots of worries and concerns, but Andrew Walker, you didn't like this,
I don't like this. No, I don't like this, because he won't be playing next week because of it, guys. I mean, you cannot do that in 2014 and not be suspended by the match review panel. He will be missing Carlton's round 2 match as a result. Carlton, we saw what happened last night, guys. They now need everything to be going right for them to have an impact on this season. Things like that are just not what Mick Malthouse needs.
No, it's just a brain fade and doesn't look good. And also, they had Matthew Watson in the key post. Now, they've invested heavily in this young man. They want Henderson to be able to go forward. Justin Westhoff made an absolute mess of him in every aspect. One-on-one in the air, Watson couldn't go with him. He couldn't go with him on a hard lead. I've got grave concerns for him, and he's a big investment. 4th year for this bloke, Matty Watson. He's only played 17 games. I know he's had the fractured foot and all that, but he was a first-round pick at number 18. I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to play on.
Do they have to go with him? They just have to commit to getting the games into him and work it out by the end of the year? Or do you just make a call?
I'm not sure he'll finish the year. If he can't play on Westhoff, or he couldn't go on Butcher when he got swung across, he just needs a little more urgency in his game, Damo. And look, I know he hasn't had a lot of footy, so I'll give him a little bit of leeway, but he needs to find some touch. Sad story too over the weekend that you broke, I think late on Saturday night, about Mitch Clark and his future with the Melbourne Footy Club.
Look, as it stands, guys, football is so distant now in his life that it almost doesn't matter. And the reason we're talking about it today is because there is a football reason for us talking about it. And there are some significant doubts now from Melbourne people that we will see him at all on a footy field in 2014, possibly beyond that too. Everyone has got their head around that this is an issue that he has to go away from the footy club to deal with, and then we'll hopefully see him later in the year. But the Melbourne Footy Club actually does fear that he won't be seen at all.
So sad. I just love the way he plays, but as you said, more important things to get on top of.
Guys, naming names at press conferences. Damien Hardwick did it on the weekend after his side's lost to the Suns. Let's listen to it, and I want to get your take after it.
The disappointing thing from us was probably our second-tier mids that didn't stand up. You know, I probably thought I'd get more out of Reece Conker and Brandon Ellis today, but unfortunately they just didn't quite, lift their game to the standard that was required. But overall, key forwards were relatively poor. I thought, Jack was well below his best, as was Ty Vickery.
I love it. I love seeing a little bit of heat put on. I mean, that was a performance that perhaps you didn't see coming. They've struggled against Gold Coast up there. I don't think they'll be the last side that wanders up there.
But naming names, guys, it's foreign now. It's almost not done, ever.
Yeah, well, what it is done, it's done internally. It is done brutally internally, and the players are used to it, and if there's a little bit of public pressure that comes with it, so be it. Jack Revolt, from your point of view, you've been banging on about it for 2 years. I don't go to him enough.
Well, you need to actually admit that you're wrong on this. You've got the best player in the forward line for Richmond not being utilised. And why would you do it? It's like a movie director and you've got Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt LeBlanc, and you go to Matt LeBlanc and not Leonardo DiCaprio. Why do you do it?
Bad line from you, Warrior.
Why do you do it? Why are you going to Ty Vickery? Last year you went to Luke Maguire.
Yep.
I reckon it's silly.
Well, you couldn't go to Ty Vickery either, because he got his pants pulled down by a bloke called Stephen May, who... I looked at the best players from all the papers, the Sunday shows. It was Ablett, it was Swallow, it was Cochin, it was Prestia, it was Delidio. How this bloke couldn't get named in the best players in one of the papers is beyond me. Had 17 spoils, absolutely slaughtered Ty Vickery, who's been in good touch over the NAB Challenge. He was magnificent, Stephen May.
I must admit, I hadn't heard much of him until the Campbell Brown incident, guys, but you have rated him previously and you think he's a key to what they do.
I don't know whether I've been able to see that sort of game, but he was up with them on a lead. He's spoiling in contested situations. celebrations. I just want some recognition for these blokes. Stop looking at the midfielders. You're probably the worst culprit.
Well, okay, let's go back to the big boys.
The stats.
Let's look at Jonathan Patton and what he did. I mean, what he did on the weekend with those big guys down there, Jeremy Cameron. Guys, where's I want to talk about though? Tom Boyd couldn't get into this team. Is there actually room for Tom Boyd when you've got Jonathan Patton doing what we're seeing on screen now, alongside Jeremy Cameron, who is already an All-Australian at the age of 20? Where does he fit in, Tom Boyd?
It's a very good question you raised, because I told you to raise it. He's only played 10 games, Jonathan Patton, so, I mean, he's got unbelievable ability. I don't know, it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? I suppose Jeremy Cameron's the one. If you've got Boyd and Patton in the key post, Cameron becomes your floating third tall forward.
Does he? He's an All-Australian centre forward.
He's got extreme agility, pace, he's got all the attributes of being one of those floaters.
What about another one, big man on the ground in that game, Buddy Franklin? Wasn't a good debut.
No, they're going to line up, aren't they? And when you do the deal that he did, you put a big target on your head, but he had a pretty ordinary night. He wasn't alone. Well, the one thing I would say, maybe there was an overcorrection from his teammates. I would have liked to have seen a bit more support for Buddy throughout the course of this game.
Well, maybe they don't support the whole concept of him being paid so much money over so many years.
I reckon they tried to ram home the whole Bloods culture. Let's not make a big deal out of one player, but sometimes you've got to go and support your mate. And look, he was copping it from Toby Green. He was copping it from everyone out there. I
know you don't make big statements after round one, Gaz, but I didn't like this Buddy Franklin deal before we saw on the weekend, and I reckon it's going to be a major problem for that club, not just this year, but for 8 years that follow.
It may well be, but I'm prepared to hold my fire, because this is one of the great forwards of the modern era, and I'm going to back him to get in and have an impact on this game.
Again, I know you don't like making big calls round one, but Nathan Buckley's performance as coach of Collingwood on Friday night against Fremantle, he's got the CEO of his footy club before the game, before that 70-point loss, saying they're going to win a flag in 3 years. Let's listen to Gary Pert on 3AW before that game against Freo.
I would suggest that not only playing in finals for the next 3 years, but I would expect us to be top four and winning a premiership during that period of time.
Oh, well, I don't have to put pressure on Bucks, but Purdy just did it then.
They're not going to win a grand final in 3 years, guys.
Wouldn't have thought so. But
well, they're not. They're not.
St Kilda are going to finish top four in 6 years and win one by 2020. I mean, these are just club speak. This is off-field speak, trying to generate support from their members. I thought it was strange from Purdy, and then we saw the performance on Friday night from Collingwood, which made it look even stranger. But again, Damo, please, we've played 4 games of the season. Stop starting to write teams off and players and individuals.
Well, Travis Cloke can't perform against the Dockers. That's almost fact now. Have a look at his record against this very good team.
Finally, you've put something together that is not on the back of just one single game. He has struggled against Fremantle, no question about it. His goal average is well down, his marks well down. That can be put down to Luke McFarlane. That can be put down to a swarming defence mentality from Ross Lyon. Travis Cloke struggled because he was the only key forward on Friday night.
Ben Reed will help that.
Well, it has to, because he was competing against 2 and 3 players at a time.
Just on Travis Cloke, when you take off both your jumper and your shorts during a game at quarter time, would you normally leave one of them on while you change the other, not take both off?
Not if you're angling for a rather large sponsorship deal with a budgie smuggler company. I'm more concerned about the ink work, Damo, on in the back of him, but he's going to still have a very big impact on this footy season. Don't worry about that. Cracking first show. Hey, a reminder of another one of our shows, our brand new show on AFL.com.au that kicked off last Thursday. It's the Match Committee, live every Thursday, 6:25. We'll bring you all the team changes and the hot questions you want answered heading into the weekend's footy. Great program, the Match Committee, every Thursday night. I watch it before doing other stuff. Yep. We should say also that you knifed Luke Darcy. So
I was going to ask you where he is.
We should send our regards to the man that formerly sat in this chair, but you miss him?
I miss him because I spend too much time with you, and I don't know why you're sitting there.
You don't miss him. You got your man, so well done. Thank you very much. Nice start from you. You'll get better as the year rolls on. Keep clicking back to afl.com.au for more news and great video content right throughout the week. We'll catch you next Monday. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.